Okay, it'd be great to start just with a brief introduction to ZutaCore, a little bit of the history to date, some of the people involved, and any key milestones. Yeah, just give us some background.
Oh, thank you, Philip. Yeah, as you know, ZutaCore was founded in 2016. I had the pleasure to meet this company very in the beginning when I worked at Rital as the EVP for IT infrastructure. And they were very fast. In 2017-18, they had the first cooperation with Cupertino Electric and first installation at Equinix at that time. And then followed in 2019, they started to get, I think, getting a step into the OCP infrastructure discussions to be ready and had a cooperation started in an agreement with Rital. That's where I was personally directly involved at this time. Then in 2023, 2022, in that round, they had an A and B series running for the investments very successfully and started cooperations with Mitsubishi Heavy Industry, which still is a very active partner with us, with CPI, with Valeo, and a few other ones to build up around an ecosystem in the data center industry, not to stay only with the cold plate on the chipsets, so to say. Since 2024, they started the cooperation with NVIDIA and on the chip cooling side with the Blackwell generation and also the cooperations with Vivint, the daughter company of Wistron in Taiwan. Followed by that, very successfully cooperation on the technical side with SoftBank and first POs with Rackbank, the new cloud company in India. And on the tech world of Dell, they started to have the first Dell server equipped, showing that one was the XE 9680, which meanwhile also found some customers in the market with ZutaCore. And starting this year, we start to cooperate with Munters. There was some press releases around that, as you have seen. The B4 series round was very successful and oversubscribed. And the first POCs, especially also with NVIDIA, were started in the market. As you maybe have seen, we also now placed with two ODMs in the market, with two server manufacturers. First one is Compal, second one is SRock, where we have nearly 3 to 4 ready-made server solutions from the fabrications ready for the customer market. And we also are proud to say that we signed the first PO with SoftBank for our technical cooperations to look how we can influence the market in the future with nice solutions. Myself, to tell you, as knowing ZutaCore since 2016, I was in a very close contact with all the founders and owners of the company from the beginning. And they convinced me by last year to start this year, February, as a CRO for the company, taking care for marketing together with Allison, taking care for sales and for service. That's about ZutaCore and myself.
Okay, lovely. And I guess the wider picture, the background, no secret, AI is here right now and only going to get bigger and bigger. And that's putting a lot of pressure on the data center. And I guess specifically rack densities increasing dramatically. And I know everyone's talking about this sort of, I won't say mythical because I suspect it will happen, but this 1 megawatt rack is, somewhere, down the road. So just for your thoughts as to how big this, AI challenge is for the data center sector.
I think the biggest challenge, first of all, is to sell AI. It's my personal opinion. Because there are not so many subscribers who's paying for it today. That means all the build-outs what get announced are not going such fast as expected. Normally, you can say every second week somebody comes around the corner and say, "I'd like to build a 1 gigawatt data center." The first concern what everybody sees in the market is their energy. There's a big energy constraint where the power should come from. Secondly, it's everything around the gray space. Components like the transformers, the gensets, etc., have long delivery times. The question mark, is that ready to be executed? What we see very often, especially with the big announcement of 1 gigawatt data centers, that they are starting with 20, 40, 50 megawatts in the first year. And then the rest is, let me say, stretched over the next maybe 4 to 5 years. But it's the normal way. In the past, we had data center sizes between 20 and 50 megawatts. And today we know immediately, yes, if they do it right, then they can do in the first year maybe 100 megawatts. And it depends on the technology, what they're planning and the availability. And a lot of things is the financing part, the landlords, what is available, where to go and where is the necessary need of this kind of AI workload.
Okay, but I guess in terms of one of the as you explained there are a number of sort of challenges along the way, but I guess one of the major ones is around the heat generated by all this, extra compute power, and the realization that conventional cooling, air-based cooling, I guess, certainly on its own and maybe not at all, cannot just cope with the heat being generated. And liquid cooling, I know everyone who was in the industry before me reminds that mainframe computers, I think, were liquid cooled back in the, was it 60s or 70s? So it's not, strictly speaking, a new technology, but it's having a, shall we say, a renaissance this time around. So just your thoughts, I suppose, as to that transition from air to liquid.
I think the most important part, first of all, that I personally was on the conference in 2016 in New York, where Google was stating cooling data center with air is not enough anymore. And everybody was looking and said, okay, if Google starts to say that, there must be something. And meanwhile, now we can say nearly 10 years later, there is a big move on the thermal density, what you have to take off of the chipsets. And as we can see, it's now going not an average with 1000 watts, it's going now to 2000 watts and more, maybe 4000 and more in the future. You see physics, which are not supporting any kind of air flow. I think also an airflow-based server in the future will be too much use in the rack, taking space, and it's hard to cool it by air. And secondly, if you go with the liquid cooling, then it's really the question, what kind of technology will support at best on the energy efficiency, but also on the safety of the servers. I talk about leakages, and so on, the right performance of the data center. And as you said, the heat transfer is the most important thing, how you can take off the heat from the CPUs or GPUs. And the problem there will be how you can transfer heat back into the energy circle. It's not only have heat reuse, maybe turning heat into cooling, and reducing the power consumption, which is approximately 40% today of a data center is cooling, more into IT power and giving the opportunity to save space by high density in the racks on the one hand, but also saving components around the cooling side. I think that will be the big game for the near future.
Okay, and I guess another perhaps smaller challenge, or I don't know, maybe it's as significant, is even once somebody has decided that liquid cooling is what they require, there are various approaches. So I think, I mean, rear door heat exchangers, direct to chip, and then sort of full immersion. So perhaps before we look at what ZutaCore yourselves are doing, just give us your thoughts on those three, the sort of pros and cons, or where each of those are at.
Yeah, let's start with the rear door heat exchanger, which is runs cooled by water in the circuit, as you know. First of all, it takes space on the backside of a cabinet, where you have the plan or your floor design. And if you would like to look on less space in the data center, it's maybe a disadvantage on that point. And it's still running on fans. If you would like to have at the end a better partial PUE of your data center or of your application, it's maybe not a supportive solution, but most for the density of racks around up to 100 kilowatts a rear door, it's still okay and it works. It's good. Immersion cooling, I have seen a lot of these applications. I know a lot of companies in the market. I see, first of all, it's a very unique solution where you can run with submerged entire servers. I call it into the pool, very easily. The question is how you would like to control the heat transfer, and take the heat transfer out of this big basin, so to say. And secondly, you have heavy weight by square feet. You have maybe some constraints on the floor constructions. Not every data center is built for that heavy weight. And to regulate the boiling temperature, it's not such easy to manage. And you need a lot of liquid. But as we know, most of all companies in the world are invested in that market. They will manage that part too. When we come to direct to chip, I think it's first of all the most efficient solution. You only use the liquid, especially at the place where the heat concerns. Yeah, you go directly to the silicon, and then you're passing through the cold plates directly to the top of the ship. You can easily connect it and disconnect it. It's not a big problem to maintain it. You can have revamp options. I think it's one of the businesses also for the future that that customers coming back and say, I would like to extend the lifetime of my servers, but I like to cool in a different way, getting more efficient on that point. It needs some piping, especially on the water side. The water side, more piping than on the, let me say, two-phase liquid solutions. We have the water scarcity. If you have the one-phase water-based solution, nobody like to have the water on the server side. And the good thing is, if you are working on the right way, like with the two-phase, you're easily to have lower inlet temperature, which drives some temperature inefficiency, where you have to look how are you going with that.
Okay, so yourself, ZutaCore, you have developed a two-phase direct-to-chip solution. So, yeah, just talk us through that if you can. Yeah, if there's any secret sauce, I guess you won't tell it. But yeah, just in basic terms, what is it that you're doing?
Yeah, but first of all, what we are doing is we are doing the two-phase direct-to-chip pool boiling technology, and it's very important to state that. It's the two technologies available in the market. One is the flow boiling, the other one is the pool boiling. ZutaCore is the only company who's offering this kind of pool boiling technology, which is secured by more than, or by exactly 24 patents. That shows our ability to cool the ships with high temperature densities, design powers, which are normally twice of them what we can see in the market. And we have a partial POE measured by external parties stated in press announcement, like from SoftBank, around 1.02 or 1.03, which is, I think, world leading. And it gives you, if you take it on the big number of a data center size, a lot of energy efficiency advantages. And this unique technology runs on a very low boiling temperature, which is also important to understand. And it allows us to control the saturation temperature, means we are delivering 100% vapor. And we can give also up to more than 10 degrees Celsius higher outlet temperatures, which is an advantage when you talk about the heat reuse. That's from the energy point of view, the secret of the technology. We can adapt our cold plates by each design of each GPU or CPU maker easily. It means the NPI process is very fast to develop adaptable cold plates, and it's not only limited to the CPUs or GPUs. In the future, you will see that on the opticals, on the memories, on the PCIs, a lot of more things coming, as we also have seen announced by NVIDIA on the last GTC in San Jose.
And in terms of, obviously you've explained you work very closely with the server manufacturers. That's important. But in terms of I suppose the data center owner operators, what are the challenges or opportunities for them? Because to a certain extent, I guess that particularly if you're a colo, somebody arrives with some servers, they need to be liquid cooled. What does the data center therefore have to do, as it were?
Yeah, I think the first biggest advantage when you're using ZutaCore is you can have a liquid to air solution with an in-rack CDU, and that means you don't need water. We are the only waterless option in the market. And it's not only when you talk about AI factories or the colos or hyperscalers, when you especially go for everything which is deployed at the edge as MDCs or skids or ports, whatever you call it, and design it. Not on each place you have water. And we have a lot of data centers still in the world, especially at the colo side, which coming and say, yes, now we have to install water pipes when we go with water cooling. And they love our solution because they don't have to install it. They are saving the cost, the initial cost, means they have less CapEx. And that's the big advantage. When you go in today and you talk with data center providers, operators, they easily understand the advantages, especially when you have OEMs and ODMs as server manufacturers on the back, which can offer the solution directly from the shelf. And they also offer it not only as a server, they can offer it now as a full rack-based solution, as you know, as the L11 offering into the market, and then the customer get a complete ready-made solution. And I can also say that our solution is nearly maintenance-free. We have installations running since more than 4 years, and no repurging or other things were done. We don't have to filtrate our liquid. It's really maintenance-free, and it's helping us a lot to maintain our solution very stable in the market.
Okay, and I'm intrigued what you said there because clearly these AI factories are, what's in the headlines now. But as you say, once we move beyond that, then one of the major attractions potentially is when all the AI inferencing and AI applications go out in, further and further. What you're doing is perfectly aligned to, as you say, edge data centers, which I guess a lot of the other liquid-based solutions are either impractical or very difficult to support in those kind of environments. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's fair to say. It's exactly the point. If you go for a telco cell tower and you would like to put an edge data center there, you can go in the countryside in the field and you can look if there is water or not. Most of the cases not the case. Yeah, and then you are easily with a waterless solution to be installed there. That's a big advantage. But on the other side, also when you go and looking what are the costs to make the piping and installing the pumps, getting the right number of staff for that, trained staff. I think we see it with all big installations. The plumbing firms are also overloaded, the plumbing and pumping, and that's also the delivery times. When you look for everything around the pumps, for instance, in the market, we know they are sometimes have half a year delivery times now. It's hard to find the right things. That's good when you have a self-containing closed loop system, as ZutaCore is offering it. And that's why we are also very interesting, not only for the edge applications. We are really looking for the AI factories where they say, you're on scale. It's what helps us to bring high density into the rack. We see today something around 65 to 100 kilowatts as a standard, mainly driven by the well-established CPUs and GPUs, like the H100, H200, a little trend to B200. Now at the moment, since a few weeks, as you know, NVIDIA was open the door for the partner cooling for the B300, where we started to intensively working on that. And I think beside that, we are very successfully with AMD and Intel with all our offerings with the partners. That means we are open to partner with the people. And as you have seen with our offerings, what we are going now announcement, you saw a carrier investment in our company. Munters is a partner. There are a lot of new solutions will be nearly in the market very soon, where we would like to go on the whole holistic approach on the cooling side for the data center.
Yeah, and maybe in terms of that, I'd be good to understand because I think the suggestion moving forward is that air and liquid will coexist to a certain extent depending on the application. But I've also seen suggestion that even in high density compute, there maybe even be air cooling alongside liquid cooling. So I guess just your thoughts as to how that landscape might evolve over time.
Yeah, I think you can look for different studies in the market, and all of them are nearly similar. I think the direct-to-chip liquid cooling, two-phase liquid cooling, will maybe have a market share of 10 to 15% within the next 3 to 5 years. Nobody is telling that we will replace all the air cooling or one-phase cooling. That's not a phase. And as you said in the beginning, like Google was announcing their own 1 megawatt solution, I not call it a megawatt rack, because if you really look around, it's 4 racks to create 1 megawatt. Yeah, and the similar things going when you look for the sidecars left and right, when NVIDIA is saying 600 kilowatts. There's a lot of development, and part of them is marketing, as we know.
Yeah.
But first of all, I think that what the customer needs at the moment and what the customer takes to the market and installing actively is something around 100, 150 kilowatts within the next 1 or 2 years. As far as that get established, I think then we will look what kind of solutions will be available to go the next step, crossing 250, 300, 350 kilowatts. But the question mark also is the physics, how to get the heat off such a rack. I only explain to customers, when you know that one sauna oven has 8 kilowatts and you're staying in front of one server with 8 kilowatts, then you can imagine when you put a lot of them 10 times into a rack, it's very hot. It's very hot. Yeah, and that is, I think, something where people still have to think about. There are some physics borders, and we should not overrun it And I believe there will be a big portion for the liquid market and a big portion still for the air-cooled market, because we know still that most of the rack density with a colo installation is around 10 to 20 kilowatts today. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe just sort of in finishing from your own point of view, obviously you've mentioned just there sort of how you see it developing. So what sort of roadmap does ZutaCore have? Again, things you can share as opposed to what else is on your agenda to develop, whether it's technology or just growing the business more generally. Yeah, anything you can share would be great.
Yeah, I think everybody knows ZutaCore now is really on the scaling effect. That means we are very close or we are closing orders, big scalable orders in the market with dedicated customers on the AI factory side, on the new clouds, how you call them normally. We have the way how we're developing at the moment our ecosystem with the dedicated partners, with partially also investors in our company, as I mentioned, with Carrier, with Munters, strong cooperation with MHI, strong cooperation with SoftBank. We are looking how to support the Waterless solution and the next high temperature new GPUs of all companies in the market, not only NVIDIA. That we have close cooperation on the side with the ODMs, as mentioned, Compal, ASRock, others will follow soon, and also the OEMs. Talks with Dell, with HPE, Lenovo, with Supermicro going on. We are looking for a strong network of system integrators because we see a lot of end customers, data center operators, which would like to have still the service and need an integrator for the rack and stack, where we are looking around to partner with the right way. And as mentioned, the big neo clouds on the AI side. And I say the freshest and newest information I can share is our active participation on the partner cooling side for the B300 with NVIDIA.
Okay, I mean, it's been lovely to chat, and thank you so much for sharing the insights into what's going on at ZutaCore and your thoughts on the challenges in the sort of AI data center or the gigawatt factories, whatever you want to call them. So, Andreas, really enjoyed it, and thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.